Welcome. This is my family. I am your host, Karen. Thank you, Izzy, so much for joining me today. So, how you feeling about the kids being out of school?
Challenge all on its own.
I say check on your mom friends. We are not doing okay. But I wanted to talk about how to stay motivated in recovery because I know, we've all had some struggles um, in our wellness. So let's talk about it, right? So, motivation is a crucial component to recovery because it defines the reasons why we act or behave in a particular way. Often in early recovery, motivation levels are high and there are plans and ideas in place to remain sober. However, as time passes, our motivation to remain sober can begin to decrease for various reasons. Perhaps life has become stressful, work is overwhelming, and life doesn't seem as fun sober. I know we went through a period of that. Um, when recovery fatigue strikes, relapse becomes a major concern. So, how do you feel about that? Is
Yeah, I definitely am on the same uh well, not the same page now, but before, where it just kind of feels like it's dulled down, it's challenging on its own. And then you're just trying to figure out what how to motivate yourself and bring yourself throughout, the process of recovery, rather it be forced or it be, a personal choice. It's something that you gotta kind of really commit to and think about all the things that are gonna happen, are happening now. And it's a process, definitely.
oh, it definitely is. So, question for you: why is motivation so important in recovery?
Motivation is important because for the simple fact that you can have, for example, for me, my motivation were my children and my family. Some people may not have that motivation, might not have that drive that a lot of people in early recovery or even mid recovery or any recovery experience. But it's something that helps to kind of process through it.
Yeah. And I did my Google thing and I also put my 2 cents into it. So, recovery motivation is the driving force behind action, right? It's also a primary component of the addiction recovery process. We don't like to say that. We like to say unwell or wellness and unwellness, but when embraced, motivation can drive us away from the chaos and destruction of unwellness, steering us into clean and sober lives. So, how do we stay motivated when we're in the early recovery process? I know we're farther along in our personal journey, um, but what are some tips that you used in your early recovery?
To be honest, I know people say be here and now, but I kind of like to think about the future and some expectations, some goals to bring into the mix, kind of to alleviate some of the situations that are going on in the here and now. Um, just disconnecting, I've said that before. To disconnect and kind of more or less look into the future. The future was mm, help me with the wording.
Well, I scattered, the different realms of my brain. So I wrote down, I jogged a couple of things. So tell me if any of these, fit in with you. You have to remind yourself why you started to begin with. Every single day is a constant reminder of why I started this journey to begin with. Um, Remember the benefits of the recovery, all the things we gained being in recovery. Um, Definitely a big one. Practice self care, especially moms, dads, if you're at home with your kids and they're literally making you climb up the wall and pull your hair out. Remember, self care is important. It's okay to ground yourself to your room if you need a break. Um, appreciate the little things. I know in our younger years, you kind of look at everything as the glass half empty. And then when you get into your 30s, you look at your cup as half full. So when I got into my 30s and into my active wellness, I was kind of like, you know what? The little things actually really make a big difference. Um, Connecting with others, all those lost relationships that you go through when you're actually in that active unwellness, that's a big one. And setting goals for yourself. I know we have quite a few that we are working on achieving, and we'll eventually meet those. But did those jog anything for you, Izzy, to keep, that kept you motivated in early recovery?
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said kind of like disconnecting and going into the future and kind of getting those goals situated. Our goals were to get our children back, work on our marriage, get healthy relationships, not only just in within the family, but all around. So yeah, definitely. Motivation for me looked like accomplishing what seemed impossible at the time. And when I got to that goal, that was impossible. I ended up getting more than I even bargained for. So, kind of more or less staying in the here and now, but it's okay to disconnect and more or less look into the future to look for answers, you know?
Yeah, and that's perfect. So let me go to the other end. And why do people lose motivation? And I think this is a big one for us personally. So why do people lose motivation in long term recovery? Have you ever had any moments while in your active wellness that you were just like, why do I keep doing this?
Yeah, definitely. It's kind of like that part where we talked about where it's boring, it's not exciting, it's not more or less to what you were used to, and then you're kind of getting used to the new and the norm. um I How can I say, I think it was what, a couple of weeks ago, I was having dreams of drinking and more or less kind of like living in my past in my dreams. I more or less started going through the process of having to recognize that I had to, how can I say, to kind of put myself back into the recovery mode. Um, because in long-term recovery, it's very difficult. It is. People say the beginning, the middle, now the end is where you really got to check yourself. We got what? Come November for me, it'll be close to 4 years, and for you, you got a little more time than me under your belt. Um, and definitely, when you read the NA or AA books, they say, oh, that 5 year bump is definitely something that's like, ugh, like it's pretty difficult, but it's not something that you can't get past, because once you get through that hurdle of getting into recovery and wellness, it's like you can work through things because you have skills, you have tools to work through anything at that point. It just has to take on your determination and the skills you acquired throughout the years.
Yeah, I know. I've had those using dreams as well. And I know for a fact for me, they can shake me to my core. Um, you kind of wake up drenched in sweat, like, oh my gosh, it was so real. Did I actually do it? And then you have to basically backtrack and check yourself. So I am right there with you. I know anybody else that is going through this will have those using dreams, but just remember that you're still in this fight. I know these things can be intrusive, but you got this. Hold on tight for the ride because it's a long one, but it is manageable and it can be done. So, unfortunately, many people can lose motivation after months or years of being in recovery. So, what factors are in play when you lose motivation along with your inspiration? And guys, if you are tuned in with us, please feel free to chat in with us, talk with us, comments, questions, concerns, anything. We're here. We love the discussion. But Izzy, did you know there are three symptoms apparently that I researched and I wrote them down because I thought they were very interesting. So it's called pink cloud syndrome, which sounds really funny to me. Pink cloud syndrome occurs when a person feels so euphoric due to entering recovery that they believe the difficult part is well behind them. While keeping a sense of joy in recovery is crucial, this extreme feeling of euphoria and well being can cause some individuals to neglect the demanding work necessary to maintain sobriety. When the pink cloud inevitably vanishes, the return to normalcy can be quite an unpleasant surprise, draining you of all your inspiration and sapping up your motivation. Did you ever go through any pink cloud syndrome?
Not what you put it in that context. um, there's in the beginning, there's a lot of emotions going on: joy, happiness, unhappiness, unjoyful, unmotivated. It's it's kind of like goes hand in hand with the angels and the devils, the demons. You kind of got to choose between the both, and that's kind of what you have to realize in early recovery, that you have to pick. You got to choose, and it just all depends on how you really want to make that look. It's not impossible, but it takes skills, determination.
I agree with you. I know when I started um, in the beginning, I was so excited. I was so happy for myself that I was actually accomplishing stuff because I was putting in the work. But towards the mid part, I found myself questioning myself. Am I actually doing enough? Am I actually trying hard enough? Because I felt like I wasn't getting far enough ahead, not realizing that I was actually losing momentum and getting that strange feeling that it wasn't enough for myself. So I'm right there with you. The next one is romancing or intrusive memories. Um, an individual may also begin to experience the memories of their addiction. During the most difficult portions of recovery, it can be easy to overlook substance abuse, physical and mental pain, and instead start glorifying the good times you once had while using the drugs and alcohol. This is called romancing, an old addiction, and it can cause you to lose sight of your motivation or even relapse into old habits. So, how do you feel about that one?
Yeah, it's like the deciding factor. That's how I look at it. So from what it sounds like, you're going from the beginning, middle, and the end. You're more or less idolizing those days where, oh, it was good. But the thing is that when you're in the middle, you're either thinking about your past or your future. So it's like the here and now. And it's difficult to kind of navigate through that unless you have some positive supports. Um, as you know, and our audience knows, you were my driving factor. You were somebody I clutched onto in the beginning and somewhat in the middle. But then I started to kind of figure it out for myself once I was going through that journey of what is it that we want? What is it that I want for my family? How does that look? Should I go to my old way? Should I go to the future? How should that look? And then that's when I started kind of more or less looking into the coping skills, my meditation, my grounding, my self-talk, my positive affirmations, all the good things that came in with recovery, because I embedded myself into something that I wanted for me. Because if I don't take care of me, how am I supposed to take care of anybody else? Um, and that's why more or less I had to think and navigate. do that middle stage. Do I want to go forward or do I want to go back? The here and now is getting dull, it's getting boring, but I'm still here and now. So that's where I'm at with that.
And I'm telling you, I'm a guilty one for this because, I did at one point in the beginning romance all the old times because I'm not going to lie, they were fun. I enjoyed them. I was doing it with someone I loved, and it was okay for me. But, actually, wrapping into my brain and actually processing it and thinking about it, I was glorifying it. But when it came to my feelings, I truly was always numb. I never felt anything about it. I never had any physical sensation about it. I just enjoyed the high. But at the end of the day, that's what, basically took everything away from me. So that's where I thought, I kind of need to process this, think about this, and not do this, and getting away from the idea of romancing those old thoughts and old memories that I went through. So I'm right there with you. And the last one I thought that was interesting is loss of self efficiency, or also called dry drunk syndrome. So this says during addiction treatment, and I don't like that word, but I'm just going by the computer, so bear with me. You learn that you can make and achieve the goal of maintaining sobriety. Dry drunk syndrome increased as you learn more about addiction and gain skills to achieve your goals. If you lose focus on your own ability to pursue recovery, you may begin to suffer from what it's now known as, where you begin to try seeing and maintaining sobriety as a prison sentence rather than the result of your motivation to pursue a healthy lifestyle. I know I am the guiltiest person in the world for this one. At the beginning of my recovery, I literally thought I was in prison. Just for the simple fact, the kids were in DHS custody or DHHS custody. And, you know, I was doing whatever means to get my children back. And I was basically just checking the boxes. But was that, really true wellness? I didn't think so. So that's when I had to change my mindset to actually pursue that healthy wellness that I was actually wanting to achieve instead of just checking those boxes. What about you, Izzy?
Yeah, it's kind of like being, like I said, stagnant. It's more or less trying to figure out, is this for you? Is it not? Um, you're kind of going back into those two other steps that you're wondering, well, is it for me? Do I want to do it? Do I need to do it? Do I have to do it? So you're kind of juggling around, like I said, with those angels and demons to see where that's going to look for you. Um, or for myself, or for anybody at that point. Um, but one thing that I really do thrive on is being in a healthy state of mind, body, and soul. And I kind of have to think about those good attributes that came with recovery, those things that I'm not losing anymore. Because losing really sucks. Losing really, really sucks. And the fact that you're able to look past the things you lost and regain the things you lost and keep looking forward is pretty much the way of recovery. No matter what comes in through my way or our family's ways, we always look ahead.
And I know you being the competitive person you are, you will not stand for that. So I know you did something about it. So, all right. I hope I don't mess up this word. I was practicing this word because I just don't see this word every day. So, all right, bear with me. Have you ever heard of intrinsic motivation? Well, you are one. I am not. I didn't know about this word. So I I wrote it down. I researched it, made sure I could say it right. So, intrinsic motivation comes from within, while extrinsic motivation arises from the outside. When you're intrinsically motivated, you engage in an actively soul because you enjoy it and get personal satisfaction from it. When you're I knew I was going to do it, extrinsically motivated, you do something in order to gain an external reward. So, how do you feel about that? And I knew I was going to mess up the word, but it wouldn't be my family if we didn't make mistakes, right?
Intrinsic.
Yep,
Yeah,
intrinsic.
intrinsic. So you said intrinsic motivation comes from within, while extrinsic motivation arises from the outside. When you're intrinsicality. Oh yeah, I did it too. I'm trying to read the notes. Okay, so bear with me. Motivation. It's pretty much the internal coming from the external. That's what I'm reading from that. So when you can align the inner with the outer, it's it's pretty it's pretty powerful, honestly. When you get aligned with the feelings you have inside, with the feelings you express on a daily, and you more or less move around and navigate through that, is definitely something that becomes a tool. And it's a beautiful tool because then that way you can go ahead and have the idea in your mind, your body, and your soul that you can motivate yourself. Because if your inner talks to your outer talks to your inner, then you're aligned.
I love the way you said that. For me, when I read the definition and everything, I translated that to willpower. I mean, that is the one thing that no one can take away from you is your inner strength and your your inner wellness and what you want to embrace and bring to it. So I did personally get satisfaction by building myself up. It's just actually being able to find that force that lights that internal flame that gives you that drive. So let's see if you practice intrinsic motivation. Um, Evaluate your motivation. Start by evaluating your current situation and your current motivations. Chase your passion. Seek challenges and goals that have a personal meaning to help you sustain interest over time. Make an impact. That's one thing we love doing. And forget the rewards. You don't always need a reward for every little step because it should already be inside of you. So, do you like any of those?
I think forgetting the rewards is probably the most important. Just forget about all those things that kind of keep a clutch on you, and just do it for yourself, and do it for the motivation of oneself. Um, there is the reward at the end of the day is that we're here in the here and now. We're alive. We're doing well. We're doing what we got to do, and the reward is you. You are the reward. So to even look forward to any other reward would be going backwards, in my opinion.
Oh, exactly. So, I'm going to put out some tips that we can practice to stay motivated. I didn't want to go for the full hour today because the kids are running around. God knows where they are on the street in the neighborhood or what child's house they are at. So, connect with the recovery community. I know that is a major one. Um, you always need that person to go to whenever anything arises that is major. Set actually achievable goals. Don't set goals that are way beyond your grasp. Baby steps always work best. Create a gratitude list. Did you ever do a gratitude list while you were doing classes or anything like that? Keep a recovery journal. do blogs or videos. I know that's one thing we do, um, that really does help us. It really keeps us accountable. Um, a major one for me, and I circled this like 30 times: create structure and keep a structure, keep a schedule, stick to that kind of stuff. It really, truly helps, um, because boredom does lead to relapse, or I've seen it quite frequently. You can work a 12-step program if that works for you. Service work. Do you ever think of doing any service work? I used to love doing that stuff way back when. Don't have as much time anymore with as many kids as I have, but I always enjoyed doing it. And of course, self care, always important, right? So, a couple of weeks ago, I had received a message from a lady, and she had told me a story, about her daughter and what she was going through with her daughter trying to stay in wellness. And she had asked me a question. Well, how do you motivate someone who is in recovery or in their wellness? And I told her, you know what? I'm going to do a little segment on this because I know this is really important, because she's not the only woman in the world going through this as well. So I wrote these down. Always remember, words have power. Words have immense amounts of power. So if you want to support a friend or family member in wellness, carefully choose expressions of love and encouragement. These items are priceless. These phrases will help you communicate your support in the most meaningful way possible, because when you are speaking to someone, that is going through something as challenging as this, those words are extremely important. So I love you. I love you is that 3-letter word that is the most amazing thing, and it gives people hope, right? Always remind them that they are not alone. And everyone needs help sometimes. Let them know it's okay. It's okay to come to you to talk, and always ask open-ended questions. This is the perfect way, to talk to someone who's going through something as difficult as it is. Like, how are you feeling? How can I help you? Um, and spending time with them. This is always important. Play a favorite board game, a video game, go outside, go for a scenic walk, a picnic, work out a sweat together, cook food together, what have you, whatever you like. Always let them know you're proud of them. And if they are struggling, I know you are struggling, but I am here to talk if you need to. So, Izzy, before we wrap this up, I know this is a short My Family, but any words of motivation before we call it a day?
Always remember to more or less tell somebody you love them, even if it hurts. You know, just love everyone. Just be there for somebody when they really need you, and never give up. Um, and this goes both ways. Even when you're on your own wellness, you should always never judge somebody by the book or the cover. You should always kind of more or less have an open eye, an open ear, and an open heart. Just have an open heart. Really, honestly, that makes such a big difference in anyone's life. To not be judgmental, to not be that person that is poking and prodding at them, but to be there in the moment with them. And that goes both ways. And that the word love may get thrown around a little bit, but if in your heart you feel it, and if the other person feels it, then that is love, no matter what. And that no matter what journey you're going down, it honestly can be conquered and taken into a different direction just by being there and just loving.
I think that was the perfect sentiment. I don't have words. I have a quote that has been etched and ingrained in my heart. I learned this while I was in my wellness classes. Um, I am not defined by my relapses, but by my decision to remain in recovery despite them. So I'll repeat it one more time because I think that is so powerful. I am not defined by my relapses, but my decision to remain in recovery despite them. And as always, I am going to take us out with our following messages. The Promise Resource Network Welcome Desk is open 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday through Friday. The lovely Miss Kim Porter will answer and get you directed to where you need to go if you need to speak to anybody or if you need us for anything. And that number is 704-390-7709. And I will take us out with the warm line. It is free, confidential, 24 hours. Someone is always there to listen. It is open to Mecklenburg County residents. If you are not in Mecklenburg County and do need to speak with someone on a warm line, please give us a call and we can direct you to a warm line that is in your area. And that number is 1-833-390-7728. Thank you, Izzy, for joining me today. I know you have a busy schedule, but thank you so much for joining us. And I hope everybody stays cool. I know we're in for a heck of a June because it is already 90-something degrees and it's not even July yet. And like I said, guys, please check on your mom friends. We are not doing okay since all these kids are at home. But I hope everybody has a lovely weekend and gets a bunch of self-care and relaxation. And I'll see you guys next Thursday.